Using custom form elements is so much better than using the native Webflow elements. One of the reasons for that is if we want to turn this into a reusable component, we can't connect the group name or the value of this element to a component field to reuse it in multiple places. Another issue is sometimes we'll want to give this checkbox some custom styling. And when we switch that over, what Webflow is actually doing is hiding the real input element and it's showing a div in its place. And with JavaScript, it adds a class to that div to make it look checked whenever we check that hidden element. Now, if the user has JavaScript disabled in their browser, then even though that hidden element's being checked and unchecked, we have no visual indication of what's actually happening here with this element. Webflow also uses JavaScript for some of the focus states and things that can be done natively in CSS now. There's also a lot of default stylings like these pixel paddings and margins that we would need to clear. And whenever we add flex here, we would expect a gap just between these two elements, but we actually get a gap on the other side here because of that hidden element. And there's other times that we might want to have a custom checkmark element inside of this div that respects the font color of the section. And Webflow actually doesn't allow us to add anything inside this div. So we can solve a lot of these by building our own custom elements. So let's add a custom element, and under settings, we'll give it a tag of label, and we'll set this label text to be something like email address. And once we have that set, let's add in another custom element, and we'll give this a tag of input. And so that screen readers know that this input is connected with this label, we need to give the input an ID, and we can name this whatever we'd like. I'll call it email address. And we need to give the label an attribute of 4, and this needs to match the ID that we put on our input element so that screen readers associate these elements. Now, a shortcut, instead of applying the 4 attribute, instead of applying the ID here, is we can just nest the input inside the label, and screen readers will automatically know these are connected. Now, we still need some text for our label, so we could add a text block, but this is just a div with some text in it, and label elements should not have divs inside. So what we want to do instead is add in a custom element, and we'll give this a tag of span, and this is where we can put the text we want for that label. Now on the label element, it has some pixel bottom margin. Webflow gives all label tags a default bold weight. So we could manually clear this out, do something like font weight inherit, and remove the bottom margin. But would have to be repeated for all the different contact forms on our site, any filtering forms, any kind of labels we have. So a faster way to do this without adding new CSS each time is just to set the default style of the label to clear that out for the whole project. So if I do font weight inherit and I do margin bottom of none, these are just the default styles that we're setting here. But we can always override it with a custom class. So if I grab the whole label and I say this is my contact label or something, then we can go ahead and change the weight, override it still with the style panel, and override the margin if we'd like. So now that we have that set, on the input element, we can give it an attribute of type. And then for the value, we can do checkbox, we could do email, we could do radio, whatever we want this type of input to be. And we'll also want to have some custom styling, but since we have very limited control of the style of that radio, we'll just add in a custom element here, a tag of span since it's inside of the label. And this is what's going to act as our radio that we actually see. So we'll go ahead and select the label and we'll call this our radio label. And we'll select the input, we'll call this our radio input. We'll select the span, we'll call this our radio circle wrap, since this is the outside of it. And then we'll select the text element, and this is just going to be text. So let's select the label, and we'll give it position relative, and that'll allow us to select the input and give it position absolute to cover its full parent like so. We'll put it on a higher z-index, so it's above the text and anything else, and we'll give it a cursor of pointer so that we know it's clickable. Now, if we turn the opacity of it down, some screen readers might not pick it up, and it would also hide the focus states of this element. So what we want to do instead is give it an appearance of none. and that'll just visually hide all the default styles of that radio element. Appearance none is great for clearing many default styles. So on things like a select element, all select elements have that arrow that's too close to the sides. We could just add appearance none to hide that, and then add our own custom arrow icon instead. So there's lots of places that can come in handy. We also want to clear default styles from things like our email fields. They have default pixel font sizes and things like that. But for now, we'll stick with this radio. So once we have that set, we want to go ahead and select this circle wrap, and we'll remove all its default padding. We'll give it a display of block. Let's give it a width. Let's give it an aspect ratio of square. Actually, let's do flex and center, because we're going to have a child element inside that kind of fills this in. So we'll call this our radio circle inner. Let's make sure we give it a tag of span. And let's make sure we clear all of the default padding from it. We'll also go ahead and set its width and height to 70% the size of its parent, like so. And let's also just give it a border radius of 100 viewport width. We'll give it a background color of current color, so it receives from the parent font color. And on this circle wrap, we'll give it a border width of something like 2 pixels, but convert it to rim. We'll remove this default color so it receives from the font color, and we'll go ahead and set the border radius like so. And let's turn the opacity down on this inner element, and we only want to reveal it when our radio is checked. Let's select the whole label. We'll go ahead and apply flex and align like so, and we'll give it a bit of gap like so. And what we want to do is we'll select the label, copy its class, and inside our embed here, we'll say whenever this label element has a child input, that is checked. So whenever that hidden radio input is checked, we want to basically grab the entire circle inner that's inside of that label, and we want to reveal its opacity. Now we could do anything here. I'm sticking with a traditional radio style, but we could have this styled like a button with maybe a clip half reveal or anything we want to do for this radio whenever it's checked. Now that we have that set, let's head over to this text and let's change it to say red. Let's go ahead and connect this all to a component. We'll call this radio. And on the entire input element here, we want to add an attribute of value. And this is what the client will see when the form submission comes through as the value of this radio. It won't actually use the text. We need to assign a value to the input element. So we'll connect this value to a component prop called value. And that way we can change it out for each instance. And we'll connect the text to one. Unfortunately, it can't be connected to the same field. So we'll just call this text. And then also, if we had multiple radios, we want to indicate the group of them. So we'll call this name, and then we plug in our group name. This might be a color group, but we might have other groups of radios throughout the site. So I'll just call this name like so. And then now that we have that set, we might decide to duplicate this, and we might say red, and then we'll have green, and these are all within our color group. And we might have another one for blue like so. And then once we have that set, because they're all in the same group, it should only allow us to have one of these selected at a time. So if we go ahead and publish this, we can check it out. So here, if I refresh, now it's only allowing one selected at a time. We have our custom selected state like so. We might want to be able to make the entire group required. And to do that on the input element, we just add a required attribute. Now, because this is a custom element, Webflow requires us to have something in here or it'll clear out the name altogether. So I usually just add a space, something in there so the name field doesn't get cleared on the published site. And then I'll go ahead and connect this to a field called required. Now, if we decide to later not make this group required, we would just have to remove that required attribute from each one of these inputs like so. And another thing we might want to do is decide which one is checked by default. So what we could do is on this input element, we would add an attribute name of checked. And again, we need a space in here so it actually checks. And then we'll go ahead and connect this to a component field. We'll call that checked. Now, only one can be checked by default, so I might clear it from this one, and I might clear it from this one, and that way maybe only the middle one gets checked by default, like so. And that way we can control that all from the component. Now, we'll also need a list element. And list elements are great for accessibility because when the user focuses on it, it tells them how many items are on the list. It gives them an option to skip to the end of the list, and they can also just tab between each list throughout the page if they want to navigate by list. So what we want to do here is we want to give this a class of radio list, and we want to remove that padding and default styles. I recommend applying this to all unordered lists throughout your site, so that way you don't have to keep re-clearing it each time. Now here, if we remove the bullet styles here, some screen readers will actually not read this as a list in that case. So what we can do to get around that is under custom properties, we can set a list style and we just add 2 quotes. And I learned this trick from Kevin Powell, and that way all screen readers will still recognize it as a list, but we can have those bullets sort of hidden. Now inside here, we have our item. I'll call this our radio item. We'll go ahead and just drag a radio inside of here. Let's go ahead and duplicate, and we'll go ahead and just add in these radios, each one inside of an item like so. And then once we have that set, anytime we have a grouping of related fields like we have here, we want to add in a custom element with a tag of field set. And this just shows that all of the fields in here are related. And then within that, we add a custom element with a tag of legend. And this is where we put the label here for this entire group. So I'll say something like choose a color, and I'll go ahead and put that up at the top. And I'll call this maybe something like radio field set. And we'll call this text something like radio legend. And then once we have that set, we might add a bit of bottom margin to this. We might decide on the list to apply flex and allow wrapping and add a little bit of gap. And here we have an accessible ready-made component for our form. As a special thank you to those who've joined my Webflow Wizards community, I've created a component library with a lot of these components just ready to go. We can give it a custom class name like contact form or blog filter, and then just copy that component into our project, and I'll paste this into the form. In this case, this one's a CSS only floating label. So if we have content in here, it won't actually collapse unless we remove that content like so. It automatically takes on the colors of our project, clears the default font sizes and border radius and different things that might be easy to miss at first sight. And for any of these components, we can head over to the details page. A lot of them have detailed instructions of how it works and how to set it up. And we have things like animating from height auto to in CSS only. So a lot of this, we can just give it a custom class name, throw it in our project, and it could save us so much time. So check that out in the link below.